I'm also very excited about what we're here to talk about today. It
Mm.
is a crazily sort of it's not complex. It's kind of simple, but it's really hard. Talking about purpose, and it's on our wildest dream roadmap. Flashed it up on the screen there, but you can download this on our link tree if you want to follow along. But we thought, Pat, we'd sort of set this conversation up all about purpose, and we're going to get into sort of what is purpose, what's the difference between meaning, what's your why, all these things. We're gonna get into that as we go. And guys, amazing to see everyone joining. Welcome, great to have you here. So we're going to dive into purpose today. But I thought something that's really important to start with is the real tragedy of the 21st century. We live in this world of like unlimited comfort. The fact that we can sit here and talk on Instagram is like ridiculous. Imagine trying to explain that to someone in the 1950s. Life is objectively, materially better than it ever has been. Our access to technology, the safety nets that are around us. We were looking at this earlier. The amount of government spending on social services is always increasing, yet life feels really, really tough. And it does feel tough. And it's, the tragedy is that it's borne out in the data, Pat. And when we look at, what's the number one killer of young men and women in the UK, is suicide. It's the number one cause of death, and that's just a real tragedy. And Gallup report data every year on loneliness, and I think something like 20% of people reported that they felt lonely at least once yesterday. So we live in this incredibly advanced material world, but it's really tough. It's incredibly tough. And we think, this the title of this call is "What's Your Why?" We think one of the answers is the lack of meaning and purpose, and so we're gonna get into that as we go into the call. But Pat, I wanted to bring you in here because I know you've been looking a lot into comfort versus
Mm.
meaning, and so happiness, and like what all of this is. So what have you got for us, Pat?
Mm. I think something that I've come to learn through my life, something I see in the lives of all the people we work with, the individuals and teams across the world, is that we often make the mistake of thinking that in order to live a happy and fulfilling life, we need more comfort. And society sells us this ideal where if we get that new car, that new house, those new shoes, if life becomes more comfortable, we will become happier. But as you were sharing there, Jack, that just isn't the case. And something really important to understand here is that there are what are called three macronutrients of happiness. Okay, so just as with our food, with our nutrition, there are three macros. So protein, fat, carbs, and we need balance and abundance across all three to be healthy. Okay. In the same way, there are three macros of happiness. And those three are one, enjoyment,
Mm.
two, satisfaction, and three, meaning or purpose. And so just to briefly share those. So enjoyment is doing things that feel good. So it is going for a walk outside in the sunshine like I did this morning. It's laughing with friends. Maybe it's chilling on the sofa watching a bit of Netflix. Maybe it's enjoying a slice of cake now and again. It's doing things that feel good in the moment and bring immediate pleasure. Okay, that's enjoyment. The second is satisfaction. Now, these are things that are hard. So, for example, a hard workout, a cold shower, completing a challenging project at work, achieving a goal. These all bring satisfaction. And what is key for satisfaction is that you have to embrace discomfort in order to experience it. The struggle is a prerequisite for the positive emotion of satisfaction. I'm sure we've all experienced that. And then it comes to the third macronutrient, which is what we're talking about today. And this is the one that most people are lacking in, which is meaning. And meaning is the sense that your life has purpose, that there is a reason why you are here doing what you're doing. And many people today, and we see this time and time again, have enjoyment, they have satisfaction, and still feel empty. Why? Because they're lacking in meaning and purpose. Hmm. What would you add to that, Jack? I know you've got a lot of thoughts around it.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's like that happiness is one thing. It's great to be happy, and we can feel good, but somehow something can still be missing. I know both you and I have had that experience, right? We've had some, truly wonderful careers working in, various corporates and consulting, and like feeling like, good about the people that we work with and good about the clients, and we had a good life all around it. But after a while, you start to think, is this really it? Is this everything to
Yeah.
life? Is this all there is? I've signed up for this and I'm 25 years old, I'm in my career, and is this what you telling me I'm going to feel like this for the next 50 years? And I think that's what brought us together, right, Pat? It was our sort of shared passion in finding meaning, not only for ourselves but also for other people. So mate, my job here today is just to I hope that one person leaves this call and just gets more on the same page as us, that having understanding meaning and trying to think, what could my purpose be? One person leaves this call today and thinks, yeah, I'm on the same page as you guys, I will be so happy. It's a topic we're incredibly passionate about. And question for you, Pat, is like, how would you define meaning, and how would you define purpose? We'll get into purpose next. First of all, what's meaning? Because they're often
Yeah.
thrown together, right? People say, we've both done it already, meaning and purpose, right? What's the difference between the two?
So the way I see it is, meaning is there being a reason why you are here doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a reason behind it all. So what you are waking up each day and what you are choosing to do and what you are doing is meaningful. Like, there is a real intentionality behind it. And I think, again, this is what some people today lack. And a lot of people wake up and just go through the motions of going to a job perhaps they don't really enjoy, and it doesn't really make sense to them why they're doing it, apart from the fact that it gives them some money at the end of the month and it affords them a certain lifestyle. But their lives are really devoid of that meaning, and they feel that what they're doing each day, there isn't a real sense behind why they're doing it. It's not for any kind of greater cause. And when we think about meaning, it's really that connection to something greater than ourselves. So it's the why we're here, what we're doing, and the answer to those are always bigger than us. It's never just, your meaning is never just related to you. It's related to those around you. And I'm sure something we'll probably bring up a little bit later is around contribution and that element too.
Yeah.
But how do you see it, Jack? Meaning and then also purpose.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head with meaning. It's the question, it sounds like these kind of questions, right? What's the point? What am I doing here? Who am I? Like, what's the meaning of this all? Like that, how do you start understanding yourself and your place in the world around you? Sort of understanding the present situation and a bit into the past. And when we think about purpose, like, I think purpose is way more like forward looking. It's going into the future. It has an element of vision in a purpose. It's that, what am I going to contribute? We keep mentioning contribution. We'll come on to that in a bit. It's, what am I going to contribute to the world? It's more active. It's more forward looking. A purpose is something that you're here to do. And I think it's just to give a few examples. Like, I'll happily share my purpose, and it's my purpose right now. I imagine in 10 years time I'm going to be like, who was that guy? That was a silly purpose. But these things change all the time. It took me a long time to go on this journey and start asking myself these questions. Who am I? What do I want to do? And the sentence I like at the moment, it fits with me, is, my purpose is to educate the world that life is magical. It's my purpose right now, Pat. Let me know if you want to share some words around yours, or ask me any questions if you're thinking that's crazy. Yeah.
No, I love it. And we talk about both our purposes, if that's it, or purpose, I don't know.
Purpose,
But
or
plural of purposes, whatever it is. And we talk about it a lot. So do you want to, and so I know exactly what you mean by that, but do you want to share a little bit with the other guys who are joining us today, what exactly you mean with that sentence for your purpose?
So look, ever since I was a kid, as long as I can remember, I've always wanted to give to people. whether that's my sort of time, my energy, asking them questions, learning about them. My first sort of real job was teaching skiing, and that was all about education and giving to people, and I loved it. And I love, I've always loved that education side. And what's changed for me recently is that magical bit, because
Mm.
I've really come to see that people are like stuck in this negativity spiral. Go on. I went on BBC News and the New York Times earlier just to like see if I wasn't going crazy, and both news like pages, the whole page there, they had like one positive story per page. Like
Mm.
99% of it was just, this is going wrong, this is going wrong, this is going wrong. And all these things are incredibly important. They're all, of course, it's important, and it impacts so many people's lives in just unimaginable ways. But like we were saying earlier, we are living in like the top 1% of people, humans that have ever existed since the dawn of time. Like, we have untold luxuries. Like, we're probably all taking a hot shower today. We're sat here talking to people on the other side of the world. Like,
Mm.
life is so good, and I want to share that with more people, and it's whether it's being on this call or in the workshops we do. So yeah, Pat, life is magical.
Yeah. Nice. No, I love it. I love it. And my purpose, as I see it today, and as you say, these things evolve and change over time. But the way I see my purpose today, as I'm with you and chatting to the guys here, is to educate and inspire people to live more fulfilling lives.
Yeah.
And the education inspiration comes through all the work that we do as coaches and sharing everything we do online through our blog, on social media, and just the people who we interact with and are with each day. And then to live more fulfilling lives, for me, there is no greater gift than to wake up each morning and feel that your life is fulfilling. And it's not like a tick box exercise. You can't just say wake up and say, okay, I've done enough work now, my life is fulfilling, job done. Like, it's a journey, and
Yeah.
sometimes life is going to feel more fulfilling than others. But within that fulfillment, inherent within that is a need for purpose and meaning. And as we're here today talking about what's your why and purpose, I think it's really important for us to acknowledge as well, Jack, that
Mm.
it is not easy. Like, we've just shared what we see our purpose to be, but it takes a long time to discover that. We both have a background in the corporate world, and for a while, as Jack shared earlier, we had very good lives, worked with great people, many of whom we're still in touch with today,
Yeah.
and really enjoyed our times in those two companies we worked in. But now live lives where we feel we're really working in line of our purpose. And it's been a journey to get there, and it doesn't happen overnight. And I appreciate for you guys here today, you may be thinking, okay, look, I'd love to get or find some more purpose or meaning in my life, but I just don't know where to start. I really don't know where to start.
Yeah.
And we totally appreciate acknowledge that it is challenging. So I know there's a few other things we want to chat through, but Jack, do you want to just share a few little nuggets on where, if people are starting to think, how can I start to discover my purpose,
Yeah.
where you might direct them?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So, firstly, I'm going to step back and then back into that question. So,
Yeah.
Liam, thanks for the question. Filling in the roadmap. What is the difference between purpose and meaning? So,
Mm.
if I had to sum it up, I would say meaning is understanding who am I, what's my place in the world, how do I interact with the world. It's a very present, focused thing, right? It's who am I, what am I doing here, what's the point of it all. We're going to come on to religion in a bit. It's like a thorny topic, but we're going to have some points to mention around religion and
Mm.
meaning, so it's going to be very interesting. Purpose for us, it's more forward looking, it's future orientated, it's saying here's what I'm going to contribute to the world. Like, purpose is more, it's more action based. Okay, so I hope that answers your question,
Mm.
Liam. And in terms of how to figure out your purpose, I'll recommend two things. Firstly, like, I get really inspired by business leaders. So I love to read biographies, and occasionally they mention, I felt this is my purpose, or I'd also go on their company's websites and Google like what is Apple's purpose, and then you start to get a feel for what a sentence of purpose could sound like. That's a really nice way to do it. And secondly would be having some kind of reflective practice. So, either writing about it. I think when you write, you start to understand what you do and you don't know about yourself, or talk to people. Just, share with people, find a partner who's into these kind of deep discussions as well. Or finally, drop me and Pat a message and we'd love to chat with you about what your purpose is. So going to move on to, well, we've got another question actually, Liv. We've got another question. I think we just covered it. Yeah. We're good. We're going to keep going. We thought we had a second question. We don't. Liam, thank you for the question. So what we're going to move on to is, there's a really interesting thing, that this is not the first time in human history that people have discussed what is my purpose. It's been a topic of discussion for thousands of years. And so I wrote something down earlier because, unlike Pat, I don't have an incredible memory. So what this one is, it's from the opening 3 lines to Dante's Inferno. He was a poet living in Italy, pre-Renaissance Italy, in the 1200s. And it is all about lacking meaning. When I had journeyed half of our life's way, I found myself within a shadowed forest, for I had lost the path that does not stray. Opening 3 lines to Dante's Inferno. And that would go on to be discussed by Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo 100 years later in Renaissance Italy, and still today. And Pat, I'm going to ask you to fast forward us from the 13th century. So we talked about purpose in the 13th century. We'll probably be talking about it in 1,000 years' time. I want you to fast forward us to Viktor Frankl. And if you could tell us a little bit about that from the 20th century, would love that if you could do that.
Yeah, so Viktor Frankl, super interesting, actually. I'm not sure if the others here with us today have heard of him. So he's a psychologist in the 20th century who was born, I believe, in Vienna and grew up there. And he was Jewish, and he was actually went to the concentration camps and was in the concentration camps during the Holocaust. And he's a psychologist before he went in, and then he survived, and he continued his work as a psychologist. And his work in psychology is really sort of rooted in and inspired by what he saw and the dreadful things he experienced during the Holocaust. And he came up with this concept known as logotherapy, which is basically the concept that the reason sort of why we are here is to find meaning. That is the essence of why each of us as human beings are alive and brought into this world, is to live a life of meaning. And before, psychology was leaning more towards, with kind of Adler and others, thinking that no, the purpose of life is to find enjoyment and to enjoy experiences. It was more kind of in the moment, immediate pleasure. People thought that was the reason of life. But no, then Viktor Frankl came along, and there's been so much research to back this up since then, and all the science points towards this, that no, it's actually finding meaning that is most important in life. It's not looking for immediate pleasure, because that is fleeting. It evaporates, it disappears quickly. It's finding meaning. And I might pause there, Jack. Is there anything you wanna add to that?
No, it's a really sort of tragic story that came, but like you say, there's been so much research done into that. And we'll actually be posting a blog on Tuesday, which is all about purpose. And there's loads of kind of research and data in there as well, if you're interested in that side of things.
And I'd also probably add as well, Jack, that Viktor Frankl was really inspired by Nietzsche, actually. And there's a famous line from Nietzsche, which you guys may have heard of as well, which is, the one who has a why can bear almost any how. And in tragic circumstances, Viktor Frankl saw this in action, because he saw that actually the people who survived the Holocaust weren't necessarily the kind of the strongest, but were the ones who had a reason to. And he talks actually of one very sad incident where there's someone who he was close to, and they were convinced that by Christmas they would all be released. It's what everyone was saying. By Christmas we'll be out of here and we'll go back to our homes. Christmas arrived, Christmas Day arrived, and that wasn't the case. And then on Boxing Day, this person died. And the reason he was staying alive was that hope. And he then, after that day, had no reason to live in his eyes. And so his body gave up on him. And Viktor Frankl saw that this was a recurring theme, that the people who survived were the ones who had a reason to. So Viktor Frankl, this was the belief that he would be reunited with his family, and also the hope that he would then write a book, which he did in Man's Search for Meaning, to document what he saw during the Holocaust and talk about meaning and purpose and how to find it. So he had a real strong reason to survive, whereas others didn't, and that was why they didn't survive. So that's a real big inspiration for him. And I think as we then kind of move on and translate into the current day, there's so many interesting factors at play for us. And I know COVID's a big one, isn't it, Jack? And there's some super interesting research that we shared. And I know you showed me this graph that you had. That's really cool, which shows that the number of people searching for sort of talking about and searching around meaning and purpose increased a lot since COVID. And the reason for that is because COVID stripped everything away. It became abundantly clear in COVID, there was no hiding whether or not we enjoyed what we were doing each day, because social life's gone, everything else is gone. The kind of coffee chats with colleagues is kind of gone, and it's really stripped everything bare. And it made people realize that, actually, you know what? I don't know why I'm doing this. Like, why am I doing this? Whereas before, people weren't asking those questions. And I think it's also important to note here that, look, Jack and I, our job is very much aligned with our purpose and our mission and the meaning that we like to bring to this world. But that doesn't have to be the case for everyone. You can do a job that isn't necessarily completely aligned with your purpose and still have meaning and purpose in life. And what you are doing 9 to 5 for sure has an impact on how you feel each day. But you don't have to be in a job that you feel is completely aligned with your purpose in order to live a meaningful life. For example, you could have kids and you could see your purpose in life to create the best possible future for them. And a part of that is earning a good salary and being able to provide the financial comfort so that they can have that platform in life. Like, that is the purpose. But what's important is that it is unique to you and it's important to you.
Yeah. Pat, I love that. And I'm not going to get in the way of your flow, because we recorded our podcast on purpose earlier this week, and you recounted an amazing metaphor around computer tabs, if you follow my drift. And I would love for you just to share that again, because it's a beautiful metaphor.
Yes. And I'll firstly admit, I am stealing this work. This is not my own.
Very
I cannot
important.
claim credit for this idea, as much as I'd love to. It was from, actually, Mark Manson was talking about this, and it's such a beautiful and clear analogy and relevant to so many of us about what having purpose in life does for you. So imagine you're sat there, okay, at your laptop, and you've got 50 tabs open. And it is so overwhelming. You're trying to work through everything, and there's so many different tabs going on. You're jumping between different tabs. You're trying to move everything forward, but not making meaningful progress on any one thing because you're trying to push everything. And there's all these tabs, and it's just so much cognitive load on your brain. It's overwhelming. It's stressful. You don't know which way to look or what to focus on. Okay. Now imagine we close down 47 of those 50 tabs and leave just 3. How much easier is it to focus when you've just got 3 tabs open and it is only what is essential? You've removed all the noise. All those 47 tabs weren't important. That was just noise, distraction. You've eliminated it. And now you come down to the 3 things that actually matter, which are kept within these 3 tabs. And having a purpose in life is exactly like that. It gives you a filter to be able to block out what is just noise and what is unimportant, and really channel your focus on what is important. And in today's age of the information overload, it can be so overwhelming and everything can be so distracting, but having a purpose acts as a real filter. It shuts off those other tabs and it gives you the clarity of waking up each day and being like, okay, bang, bang, bang. this is what is important today, and off you go. As opposed
Yeah.
to being bombarded by information, not knowing, is this important? Is this? I don't know what to focus on. So it's really just shutting down those tabs, giving you that filter to know what is important and what to focus on each day. And I don't think there are many greater gifts than that.
Pat, I love that. So, right, we've kind of gone on a bit of a journey here, and we said we'd really dive into what is purpose. Like, let's break that definition down. And I think we'll start by saying, purpose is contributing something that you're passionate about. I think it's a great working definition. The first bit is really interesting, right? Around contribution. I think you can't have a purpose that's just all about yourself. You can be 10 years old and 15 years old and only think about yourself. That's a very normal and reasonable thing to do. But I think as you get older, the goal of life is to give back to other people. And we shouldn't wait until we're 70, 80 years old on the stage at Davos to start thinking, how do I help other people? We should start doing it from today. A life of purpose is all about contribution. And contribution always comes back round. It always comes back to us. Yeah. What have you got to give to this world? Pat, contribution. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I know we were talking on our podcast about this, weren't we? That there's this almost paradox of the human condition, psychology, biology, where there's part of us that has that real survival instinct where we need to survive. It's all about me, me, me. How can I get what I want from this world in order to survive?
Yeah.
And then there's this idea that we as a human species are a tribal species. We would not have survived. We would not be sat here talking to you today if we did not look out for the tribe, if we did not look out for each other. And I think today we can slip into that kind of survival, self-centered mindset, kind of that scarcity mindset, thinking about me, me, me. What can I get? What will the world give me? Whereas if we can flip out of that and think about contribution and think less of what I can get from this world and think more, what can I give to this world? Which really thinking about your purpose does. And that is so powerful because it's not fun just thinking about yourself. Like,
Yeah.
it's quite stressful. And and all the science and research shows this, and I'm sure you guys have experienced it well. When you do something for somebody else, it feels so good.
It
Like,
feels
it
great.
feels great.
Yeah.
And it feels so much more than when you are out there just getting for yourself. And that's said with no judgment or criticism. And of course,
Yeah.
at times I think selfishly and slip back into that. But I think having that mindset of thinking, okay, purpose, how can I contribute to this world? And it could be a big contribution to many people outside of your small community or household, or it could be other focus, but thinking about maybe your partner or your kids. And that is your element of contribution, contributing to them or a slightly wider community in your neighborhood. It doesn't have to be grand, the contribution, but the important thing is that it is other focused.
Yeah. Awesome. So we've got couple minutes left. So we'll wrap up in a second. So any more questions, drop them into the chat, send us a DM anytime. We're happy to chat. So purpose is contributing something that we're passionate about. So this last bit, passion. I think it's very hard to feel a sustained sense of purpose about something that you don't, really care about. I think passion is something that goes deeper. It's very difficult to be passionate about money. You can be passionate about, building a business or starting your family. So there has to be some element of passion when it comes to your purpose. And passion is not going to come and like hit you around the face and say, oh, this is what you're passionate about. You've got to start somewhere, and it starts small, and it just starts with those little seeds of curiosity. So you're thinking, how can I have a bit more passion in my life? Start thinking, what am I curious about? There comes a time when we have to drop that worry about what everybody else really cares about, what everyone else is really excited about. There are things that you're going to say to people, say, oh, did you see that? And they're going to look at you really blankly, like, I don't care about that. That's a great sign. It shows that you have a sort of a curiosity and a passion for something that other people don't. So passion, contribution, that is what makes a life of purpose. Would
Mm.
you add anything onto that, Pat?
Yeah, I think, like I said, that's a great place to start because, as you said earlier, it can be overwhelming thinking, what is my purpose?
Yeah.
So just thinking, okay, what are the couple of steps you can take from now, from today? And you said it's just thinking about, okay, what am I, you said there, Jack, what am I curious about? And maybe it's just spending 5 minutes to download a podcast related to something you're curious about, or maybe picking up a book about a topic that you're interested in or curious about, and maybe setting aside 15 minutes this coming weekend just to explore that curiosity a little bit more. And as you start to explore, things will then start to appear, but you don't need to have the whole path clear and laid out for you from today. It's just following your curiosity step by step, and that path will unfold as you begin to walk on that journey.
Yeah. And it's supposed to be an enjoyable journey.
Yes.
You know, I did something earlier. I said to ChatGPT, if you had to like describe the deepest, darkest secrets of my personality, like what would you say? It's like I recommend you try it. It's quite a creepy thing to do, but it was strangely really really accurate. And it said, sometimes you can cling on to, oh, everything I do has to be like imbued with a sense of purpose. It's like sometimes you just need to sit in the present and let your purpose come and find you. So listen to everything we said. It's super important. But if you're going to start somewhere, do something this weekend that you're a little bit curious about.